Let's still stay with issues to do with the legal fraternity, and let's speak to former Deputy Attorney General Alfred Yeboah, who is in the studio to help us with some key legal developments we've seen. Honorable, welcome to the Channel One newsroom. You've not been in the studio before, have you?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, this is the first time of being in your studio.
Okay.
I mean, I wanted to come all this while, but you know, the process of work.
Yes. But thank you for joining us. Let's start with the Ahmed Suale case, which we just played. We have one person who has been arraigned before the court in connection with the murder. During your tenure, we didn't see that. What has been some of the challenges around, and why has it taken us so long to get to this point?
All right, thank you very much. Now, during our time, the police did some investigations. And after they submitted the docket to the AG's office for our review. After reviewing the docket, realized that there wasn't enough evidence on the docket to warrant the prosecution of anyone. And we advised the police to go on with the investigations. So I'm happy that today they've been able to get someone that if we're arraigned before a court and has been remanded to prison custody. But the question is, do they have enough evidence?
Yeah.
So I don't want us to rush now, but at least I'm happy that based on advice that we gave them, they took certain steps and someone has been arrested. Okay.
So we're hoping that, or you are hoping that at the end of the day, justice will be served, you know, for the family of Ahmed Suale.
Exactly, because it's, you know, we live in a country where you cannot take the law into your own hands. Even if you have an issue with an individual, you're supposed to go through due process. And so any attempt to use any process to exact justice is something that should not be countenanced. And so the killing of Ahmed Suale is something that we must all be worried about. And we are also concerned about situations where journalists like you may also want to feel secure. I mean, if you're in the country, you're doing your work, you should have that kind of comfort that nobody's going to harm you. So we are all watching the space to see how this case goes.
Barker-Vormawor was one of the cases that came to your attention when you were deputy boss at the AG's office. A lot of people at the time said it was a politically motivated case. Now the new gentleman has come in, Dominic Ayine. He has discontinued the case. What are your thoughts on that? One, the discontinuation, and two, that it was politically motivated.
Yes, let me start the second one. Oliver posted some comments on Facebook.
That's right.
And based on what we had, and based on the investigation that we did, it became necessary to put him before court. He was charged with treason felony.
That's right.
Let me also indicate that the Attorney General reserves the right at any time to either discontinue or enter a nolle prosequi. And so I don't want to pass judgment on what he has done because it's within his power so to do. But if you enter NP, as we understand has been done in this case, it has not closed the matter. Because if you enter NP, what it means is that the accused person will be discharged. And that if there's any future evidence that is something against him, he can be brought back. But so far as he exercises his power to discharge him through the entry of nolle prosequi, I mean, as a former deputy AG, I dare not question the power of the Attorney General to enter nolle prosequi.
But the fact that what he posted was a social media post and it was just a social, was it really warranted to have, you know, held him for, you know, treason?
All right, you see, I remember somewhere in 2018 or 2019 when this news about the coup makers, remember that case? At the time I was not in government. And if we monitored the social media space, it was like people were thinking, how can someone be planning to stage a coup d'etat with what? We were talking about knives and other things. But when we prosecuted the matter, we got the evidence involved. And the Ghanaians got to know how serious the matter was. And so you may post something. The fact that you've posted doesn't mean that we are going to just condemn you, but there will be further investigations. And when it comes to such matters, as Ghanaians, we must all advise all Ghanaians that we can post, but issues border on national security, we must be careful with it. Because you cannot read your mind. You may post something that you may not follow up, but another person may pick it up, will be energized by that post and carry on something nasty.
Now you said with Oliver Barkerson, an NP means it can still be brought back depending on it.
That's my understanding that NP was entered. If that's true, it means that, I mean, he's discharged.
I mean, if you came back to power and you had the power again to deal with this matter, would you recall it?
Oh, the AG has entered NP. Maybe he has gotten something that we are not privy to. Okay. I don't know, it's something that we may want to pursue, no.
You just leave it at that?
We leave it until something comes up.
Right.
Substantial. Otherwise, what do you make out of it?
Okay. Now, we've seen some of your colleagues in your government being brought before the court or being investigated for certain corruption-related activities, among others. Some have said the way this current government is going about it, it's infringing on some of their rights. What's your thoughts on that?
Ghana's constitution is anchored on probity and accountability. My colleagues, I mean, we all know as a fact that if you hold any public office, you are expected to account. And so if you are invited to render accounts on your stewardship within the remit of the law, there's nothing wrong with it. However, if you are invited in a way that's not in accordance with law, there's always a problem with it. Some of my colleagues who were former ministers, some of them have been invited, they've gone through the processes, they've been granted bail. So we are still watching to see what will follow. So far as they were invited by state bodies, so far as they were not invited by oral, so far as they were not invited by an unlawful body, I mean, it's part of the due process that we've been talking about. And so, if any attempt is made to, as it were, flout their fundamental right, that one will not let it pass.
How would you advise this government to handle such cases?
Yes, you see, when it comes to invitation of people to appear before various parties, you can have various options. You may even through a phone call, maybe call a former appointee. You are needed at ABCD on this day. And that's quite civil. You may even write to individuals. It's only when you invite an individual, it doesn't come, that you may want to go with brute force of the state. And so far, those who have been invited, I mean, they've gone, they've given statements. We are waiting for further instruction from the investigative bodies. I don't know, apart from, I may be wrong, apart from Professor Amir Kunfi, who was arrested, I know the others were invited. And that's the way to go. After all, whether you invite a person or you arrest the person, it's about getting evidence to ensure that person is placed before court if has committed anything wrongful. Are you representing any of these persons? Oh, I've been to the NIB to present some clients, which I will not divulge for now. We are not in private practice as a lawyer. And as a lawyer, you need to defend your clients when they approach you. Okay. Your final words on all these comments we see around government is not being fair, government is doing the wrong thing, the minority side, we just saw the one to do with Akwetia, where the minority believes that the Supreme Court has ruled that he shouldn't be, the case should be held, yet the High Court. Your thoughts on that, being a former deputy AG, with the back and forth on all this? On the Akwetia issue? Yes. I am surprised that after the Supreme Court had stayed the hands of the High Court in Kofodia, a state institution may want to take it upon itself to go and then execute a frozen order. So if the Supreme Court said the High Court judge could not go ahead to deal with the matter until the matter the Supreme Court was disposed of, then by what authority, by what warrant did those people go to Akwetia to effect the arrest? These are one of the things that we will be complaining. He's before the Supreme Court. Let the matter be completed and see where the next line of action will come from. All right, we have to leave it here. Thank you very much, former Attorney General Alfred Tuah Yeboah, with that some statements or some responses or some developments in the legal fraternity we've seen over the past weeks. This is a Channel One newsroom.